So I'm all about traditional feminism, but something about modern fourth wave feminism just rubs me the wrong way. So I found this, how modern feminism scammed the generation of women. And I'm gonna tell you how. You know how modern feminism scammed a whole generation of women? Because they told them that men are the enemy, men should be hated, they can live without men in the society, even though we need each other to continue existing as a human species. And they should only be focused on their career and finances and all this artificial material bullshit while just neglecting everything else in their fucking life. Great. Let's see what she has to say.
One second, feminism is demonizing men for objectifying women, and in the next, it's encouraging girls to sell their body on OnlyFans. So
that as well.
I mean, which is it?
I forgot.
Are you sexually empowered, or are you a victim of oppression? I used to consider myself a feminist until I realized that women were using it as a means to justify going out like this and then complaining about being called hot.
I mean, if you want to go out like this, sure, go out like this, but you gotta be honest. If you're gonna go out like this, there's gonna be certain types of men that are gonna critique it no matter what, especially very traditional men. Okay, I'm sorry, but that's how it goes. With some positives come some negatives.
Own ass. I swear to God, women are the only ones that can spend 2 hours doing their makeup and picking out an outfit and then still say they don't want to be judged on their appearance.
Yes, yes, holy fucking shit. That does the same with my mom as well, and my sister.
We know you didn't dress like this for you. When you look at the actual definition of feminism, all it is supporting women having access to equal rights. I'm not going to sit here and call myself an anti-feminist as someone who agrees with the core definition of feminism. I agree as well. But the problem is that the word has evolved to mean something very different. It's not just about women's rights
anymore. Yo, what the fuck is this? Why is Andrew Tate here? What the fuck? Andrew Tate giving me the red pill? I know this picture, of course, obviously, but what the fuck? Get this piece of shit out of my face.
There are other ideological strings attached. A major concept of modern feminism has been encouraging sexual liberation. This was started partly due to the double standard around sexuality for men and women. When a man frequently engages in casual sex, he's considered a stud, but when a girl does it, she's considered a slut. Sexual promiscuity leads to less satisfaction in relationships for both genders. Just because it's more socially acceptable for a guy to have casual sex doesn't mean
I've mentioned this so many times. Like I'm having problems with falling in love. I would love to fall in love and be in a long-term relationship, but like being promiscuous and doing certain stuff with a certain amount of women. Yes, I haven't had that many sexual partners, but it's like the fact that I haven't just fallen in love and that's the only thing I've done. It's like you're just going out for fun and having casual sex. It's just not. You think it's fun, but it's long-term. Mentally, it's not the best thing possible. And also, obviously, women are gonna be critiqued more about being more sexually promiscuous because you're the gatekeepers of sex. It's just how men are critiqued when they're selling out all of their fucking money for a woman and they're being made fun of because, hey, you're doing everything, just being a simp for this woman and so on, and you're giving all your money. It's the opposite for like women. That's it.
To match that expectation by normalizing it. Two wrongs don't make a right, and promoting a destructive behavior under the marketable guise of sexual liberation is abhorrent. It's so interesting how women constantly complain about how shallow and objectifying their relationships with men are, but then promote hookup culture, which directly encourages this exact transactional process.
Yeah, it's like modern feminism is like a scam by itself. It's like somehow, so this woman doesn't want to get married, this woman doesn't want to have kids. Sure, okay, fine, but she also wants to focus so much on her career. So me as an employer, so I know she's never gonna have kids. I know she doesn't care about men. So I'm like, okay, let me use her as much as possible for my company and make as much money from her as possible. And also she wants to have sex and sell off her fucking body parts online. Hell yeah, I'm also gonna get some of that shit, and I'm also gonna bring her at my house and have sex with her. No employer and employee should ever do that shit, but I just wanted to give an extreme example.
Actually cared about women as much as it claims to, the movement would be encouraging them to be more selective about their sexual partners. It would be educating them about the negative effects of casual sex, since we know that it leads to decreased relationship satisfaction, loneliness, and depression. And look, sadly, I'm going to take this as me trying to tell women how to live. That's not what I'm doing at all. You have all the freedom in the world to live exactly how you please. However,
when you have the freedom of the world to do whatever the hell you want to do, other people have the freedom to call you out on some bullshit. Same as me. I can say some shit and do some dumb shit, and people online can call me out. And if they're honest and they're actually, saying the truth, I'm gonna own up to it and say, you know what, you're right, I did some bullshit.
do have an issue is when a cultural movement is built on a foundation of lies. If you're going to have an entire movement, an entire ideology who claims its very goal is to benefit women, then encourage behavior that actually benefits women. At one point, this movement had genuinely pure intentions. It's the reason I have a right to vote and work and be educated. Feminism changed our lives as women for the better. So I'm sorry, but I can't help but feel like now it's doing the complete opposite. It's a common feminist position to be anti-tradwife. They insist that tradwives have some sort of Stockholm syndrome where they've fallen in love with their own oppression, claiming that it perpetuates traditional gender roles which have held women back. But
it's like, this is one of the main reasons why so many women now in the US are leaning more left and a lot of men are leaning more right. And one of those main reasons is because of this. A lot of in modern feminism is considered more left-leaning, and it's very obvious why more men are leaning on the right. It's because a lot of the left, and why Kamala Harris, failed, and a lot of the modern feminists are just promoting hate for men. That's it. They didn't get
feminism
men.
Was supposed to be about was supporting women's freedom of choice. That means supporting them if they choose to climb the corporate ladder, and supporting them if they choose to be a housewife. I thought the whole point of feminism was to respect a woman's freedom of choice, even
and not
if it's
hate
not
the
choice
trad
we
wives.
Personally make. It was to recognize that there's not a one-size-fits-all lifestyle for women, and that they should be able to prioritize what's important to them. Feminism will argue against this by saying that choices don't exist in a vacuum, and society impacts your ability to make autonomous decisions. But you can make that exact same argument on the other side too. I could sit here and tell you that you're just
all these feminists should go to Iran and see how actual limiting is for those kinds of people, for those kinds of women in those kinds of countries, and then say it's very socially limiting for women to do whatever they want to do in the US. Shut the fuck up.
decision to be a feminist is because social media has brainwashed you into believing that women are oppressed. So your choice to be a feminist isn't a real choice at all, but instead a reaction to your cultural environment. You can run in circles forever trying to make this argument against either side. That's because it's a dumb argument. Who are you to assume that another woman's choices aren't autonomous? The mere assumption of that is actually quite anti-feminist of you.
Exactly.
This is the female version of Sneeko calling everyone who disagrees with him a bot. You're accusing grown women of being incapable of coming to their own autonomous conclusions. That means you're doing the exact thing that you constantly accuse men of doing to you. Maybe some women like traditional gender roles. That's cool. Let them do their thing just like you're allowed to do yours. I'm the most masculine woman I've ever met. I should be the
she poses. She seems like she's a lesbian. I might be wrong about that, and if I'm not, and if I'm wrong, if people hate on me, I'm bisexual. Okay. For everybody that believes, no, I'm not bisexual, but see how it's easy to just lie? I was just guessing, okay? Leave me alone.
First in line to be championing the end of traditional gender roles. But I'm not like this because I'm resisting the patriarchy. This is just a part of how I am. I like buying stocks, playing with boobs. I'm just a chill guy. WAP. Women against porn. Except in today's terms, it means I'm just a chill guy. WAP. Women against porn.
Women against pornography. You guys are hand clapping for the women who are selling their fucking pics online and around OnlyFans, promoting their bodies, making money out of simps, and then you're making fun of those simps, and now you're saying women against pornography? Who are these brainwashed, sad people, man?
Except in today's terms, it means wet-ass put. With modern feminism currently preaching sexual liberation, it may be surprising to learn that at one point it was the complete opposite. In the 1970s, anti-pornography was a growing part of feminism. And when you think about it, it actually makes perfect sense. Because it's consistent with the core values of feminism. To demonize the objectification of women and stop the fetishization of sexual violence against them. We know that porn is overwhelmingly aggressive towards women. We also know that consumers are more likely to commit acts of sexual violence, less likely to intervene if they witness an assault, and more likely to objectify and dehumanize women. Porn is seriously bad for both genders, but especially women. So to see the feminist movement glorify platforms like OnlyFans and other adult content feels like a complete slap in the face. How can you possibly complain about how oppressive it is to be objectified and then objectify your—
Plus the fact that there's a lot of men out there that are rapists and doing crazy shit and attacking women, which is a problem. Yes, obviously, a lot of men are like this. But the fact that there's a lot of these kinds of women out there, selling their bodies online, online and, you know, objective, you know what I mean. And then there's other women, you know, feminists, hand clapping them, as I said, promoting them, saying, yes, they're the modern example of a great woman. Those kinds of women are building up those little boys right now who will grow up into being like sexual offenders or crazy rapists and so on. Okay, that's I'm not blaming all of the women for those kinds of people. Yeah, those kinds of people are horrible by themselves and they need to be locked up and never be released. But it's like these kinds of things are not helping those kinds of people. It's actually the opposite. And they're not helping keeping women safe. It's actually the opposite.
Yourself for profit. I don't understand how modern feminists have come to this conclusion. Actually, that's a lie. I do understand. I completely understand. Because it would go against the sexual liberation movement. It goes against the sex positivity narrative. But one honest look at the statistics and it's blatantly clear. There's nothing liberating or positive about this industry. So what happened? Why did the anti-corn feminist protests stop? This article explains it.
Because there's a lot of men that like this. Maybe a lot of men have influenced this. A lot of rich men who have paid into this whole movement, and they made it the way it is just so more men can benefit out of, you know, a few certain percentage of women being delusional, thinking that they're liberated, for selling themselves online for money.
It perfectly. Anti-porn feminists were labeled sex negative in an era of feminism that was heavily influenced by liberalism. Individual choices, as opposed to mass liberation, became the forerunning feminist agenda. If that doesn't perfectly encapsulate the modern feminist movement, I don't know what does. The current movement wants all the ideals of feminism without having to sacrifice anything for it. The movement doesn't want to give up porn. It doesn't want to give up casual sex. That would be infringing on my personal freedoms. But maybe true liberation requires some personal sacrifice of those beloved freedoms. You can't eat a pound of cake every day and expect to lose weight. Your goals require a sacrifice.
So what can we learn from all of this? That if you give a certain percentage of people all the freedom possible, they will find ways to destroy fucking society. Men or women, doesn't matter. There's a certain percentage of them. So you can't give a society 100% freedom of everything. Yeah, freedom of speech, I agree. But there's certain stuff that has to be restricted. That's why I'm saying OnlyFans shouldn't be legal.
The issue of equal pay is another primary subject that feminists bring up. It's also probably the #1 most misrepresented topic in feminism. The gender pay gap does not exist because of the patriarchy oppressing women.
It exists because of the types of jobs men choose and the types of jobs women choose. That's it. And a lot of the times, in some types of jobs, women are way more productive. And in other types of jobs, men are way more productive because we're different. Biologically, mentally, we're different. And we function differently. And we're better fit for different kinds of jobs. I'm just sorry. For example, HR, I'm rarely ever seeing men in HR. I've seen them, but 99% of them are women. Just an example. Construction workers, you know what I mean.
Pay gap only exists because women are more likely to choose lower paying jobs. If you compare a man and a woman working at the same place, in the same position, with the same amount of experience, working the same amount of hours, the pay is exactly the same. But when you compare the average income of men versus women, there's obviously going to be a gap. This is because men choose careers like car mechanics and truck driving, whereas women choose careers like teaching and nursing. A quick comparison of these incomes, and it's easy to see why there's a pay gap. It's not misogyny.
I mean, I see way more female doctors than I see male doctors, especially where I live in, so that's a very high-paying job, right? So
that creates this gap. It's just preference. Women have all the freedom in the world to go be an automotive mechanic, just like men can become teachers, but that's not typically what each gender wants to do on average. So from the outside,
also think about how many times when you go travel by plane, how many times are the people working there and, you know, are on the plane, what gender is the pilot? It's most of the time, in my experience, has been a guy. And most of the time, the people working, I forgot, like all the other people working, helping the passengers, most of them are actually women.
Show the statistic of the gender pay gap, everyone's jaw drops and jumps to conclusions about sexism. But if you just look a little deeper, it's easy to see why it's there. If you're a woman and you're unhappy with your salary as a teacher, go be a truck driver. It is actually that simple. Something I can't
start
stand
a
about
business
the feminist
if you can.
movement,
Why
and
not?
really many
Just
other
don't sell
modern
cookies like
movements, is how
Pokemon.
evasive they are to taking responsibility. If you're not happy with your pay, change jobs. You don't have to make it a political movement. You don't have to find someone to blame.
You don't have to be a victim for everything. Work for it. You've got a freedom for it.
You can't really talk about feminism without also talking about the red pill manosphere space. This is because they respond to one another culturally. The red pill purports that they have the solutions to these modern feminist problems.
No, they don't.
Spoiler alert. they don't.
They
Red pill
don't.
solution is extremely unrealistic for the majority of
Red pill are sort of like, red pill for men is like how modern feminism is like for women. They're both very fucking toxic.
both men and women. The red pill has this idea that women need to just skip college and go back to being housewives, except that most of the men
Where's
saying
the
this would
freedom?
never be able to afford that lifestyle. Homie, you don't even have the career to be able to pay for the lifestyle of the woman that you want.
Agree. Like most young people right now, even if both of them are working, they still can't buy a house, and they still can barely, or if ever, be able to support a full family of 4. Like, I'm sorry, but it's impossible. And you're telling me that my woman is no, that's her choice. Okay, shut the fuck up.
Blame women for failing to fulfill their feminine roles without even recognizing that as men, they're failing just as badly at fulfilling their masculine ones. I really don't think that the red pills as men...
She totally made him look like he's missing a chromosome or something. I shouldn't be making those kinds of jokes.
They're failing just as badly at fulfilling their masculine ones. I really don't think that the red pill's idea of expecting men to be able to afford supporting an entire family on their one income is realistic at all. I think in theory the traditional family dynamic is a great idea and would make very happy, healthy relationships. But in modern times, less than 1/4 of men will ever be financially capable of achieving such a feat. In today's economy, the trad lifestyle is reserved for only the most prosperous men. But yet the red pill preaches it like it's the majority solution. Pew Research shows in 2022, only 23% of households had the husband as the sole provider of income. That
God damn, that's even going to go even lower in the next few years.
Income. Most guys just aren't out here making enough money to support himself,
and it's going to get worse.
And kids.
It's going to get so much worse because of inflation. It's going to get so much worse because of AI and AI taking over fucking jobs. It's gonna become horrible. Like, red pill and blue pill and fucking modern feminism shit. You guys are gonna unite and, you know, fight to get your rights over, you know, AI taking over, or you're gonna fucking kill each other, fighting over each other's rights. Meanwhile, everybody has the right to do whatever the fuck they want, especially in the West. And in the meantime, while you're brainwashed, arguing about all of this shit, you know, the top companies will continue dominating their own sectors, will destroy all other smaller businesses, and AI will take over all the people working there in the next few decades. Is that what you want? Great. Continue arguing.
Economy, I would say that's pretty understandable. What I don't see the red pill talking about is how a lot of women would love to adopt the traditional lifestyle, but there's just not enough prosperous men to go around. Given an alternative, many women might very well choose to be a housewife. Feminism might be the only movement that can get away with constantly complaining about how oppressive it is to be objectified and then simultaneously objectify themselves.
Yeah, simultaneously make money out of it, yeah.
That this movement wants all the benefits of feminism without any of its consequences. Say you want equality until you realize that means splitting the bills, unclogging the toilet, and having to kill the spider. In modern relationships, it's common for the financial...
It's the same in the place where I live as well. A lot of the people where I live want to have the living conditions and the advantages like that people have in the West, but they don't want to take over all the responsibility that comes with that. And it's like, you want to continue being corrupt and destroying the country? Then you won't get those kinds of living conditions. I'm sorry. You're not going to protest and try and fight for the freedom and all this stuff for your rights? No? Well then, that's what you deserve. A poor, destroyed country like where I live right now.
Of the woman to be everything he makes is ours and everything I make is mine, rather than both partners contributing equally, which is what feminism claims to want to do. There's a book called Sexual Utopia and Power by Roger Devlin that sums this up perfectly. The modern woman wants all the benefits of a traditional marriage but is unwilling to pay the costs. She wants a man to marry her without her having to marry the man. Some feminists are even demanding that there be quotas for women to be in executive positions, but they never talk about there being quotas for women in bricklaying. It's clear that modern feminism wants all the benefits of something without any of its sacrifice. Let's be very clear, that is not equality. That's privilege.
It's like, how many times has a feminist told you, hey, there's a lot of women missing in this kind of job role, but they never talk about in which job roles there's a lot of men missing and there's a lot of women dominating that specific sector and that specific job role. It's like, you can't see the difference. Like, you've got the freedom to do everything, but us being different biologically, mentally, everything, that's never going to change. So it's very obvious that we will take very different, paths in life when it comes to like careers, obviously, and there's obviously sometimes going to be a huge, sometimes going to be a smaller division. It's just how it rolls, it's just how it works. So yeah, that's about it. Tell me what you guys think in the comments. Go subscribe to this girl. She seems cool. Have a nice day.